The Witchcraft of Salem Village by Shirley Jackson. This is a short book about the events of the Salem witch trials in 1692 in Salem Village of Massachusetts. Shirley Jackson is the perfect person to write this with her chilling style and insight into societal situations gone wrong. The Salem witch trials were a fascinating period in American history. They're right in the middle between the Pilgrims landing on Plymouth Rock and the War of Independence. Right in the middle, and we don't hear a lot of history in that time period. Typically, when you learn American history in the school system, you go right from Plymouth Rock to American Revolution. So it's interesting to pause and think about what life was like for these people here at this time. There were settlements by this time. I think there were like 50,000 people in Massachusetts. And like 500 or 600 people in Salem Village. So they were reasonably established, but they still had to think about Indian attacks, and they still had to bind together as communities. And religion was also a big part in these people's lives. There was a lot of emphasis on being righteous and shirking wickedness. As the thing about believing in God in the Bible is that you also believe that there is a devil, and why wouldn't the devil be among us trying to get us to do bad things? Like, that just A leads to B. So that's the backdrop for everything that happened. Shirley Jackson, like I said, is the perfect person to write this because I love her short story, The Lottery. For those of you who don't know, The Lottery is a story of a society who has a tradition of stoning someone every year, and they pull out a slip of paper, and if you have the black mark, you get stoned. But the fascinating part about the story is no one in the town wants to do it, but everyone has the perception that everyone else wants to do it, so everyone just goes along with it, and that's how these terrible things end up happening every single year. It's a great look into the insight of mob mentality. Side note, of all the things that I despise most, mob mentality is right up there. I hope the mobs lose every time. There seems to be that on this population scale, there's a sweet spot for observing societal madness. If there's too many people, then there tends to be a normalizing effect, and if there's not enough people, then there's no societal pressure. It's at that middle level where there's like 100 to 1,000 people where you're a very active player in whatever is happening. So 1692 starts off with a couple of the girls falling sick and blaming witchcraft, and they start pointing fingers around the village. At first they start off with the more vulnerable people in the village, Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and Tituba, all of whom had reasons to be not in the inner circle of the town. But what really got the fire going was the validation that the preacher expressed to the claims of the girl. Because once you have a religious leader saying there's something to this, then you have people who may not have reacted before will start to react because the person in authority is saying that this means something, and the person in authority, if there's a large group of people saying this must mean something, then if you're in the position of authority, then you have to also say, yes, this definitely means something. You have to react to the people that you have charge over. So there's this runaway effect that you see play out through the course of 1692. So the three women were forced to confess that they were witches, and in the case of Tituba, they were beaten, and Tituba had to admit that she was possessed by the devil and that she was causing harm to the girls, and to go along with this crazy story that the girls were spinning up. What's crazier is that one of the women, Sarah Good, had a 4-year-old daughter who was also implicated to be a witch, and so apparently she confessed to it, and you can only imagine how that questioning went. Of course, the legal problem here is they were allowing spectral evidence as evidence in this judicial system, and how can you disprove spectral evidence? So these people were forced with the option of either confessing that yes, they were possessed by the devil, and yes, they did see the devil, and all these things, and then they would be cut off from their community because who wants to talk to them again? And if they didn't confess, then they were hung. So either way they went, the law knew that they were witches and there was no getting out of it. One point that Shirley Jackson makes in this book is how a lot of these people don't have a lot of entertainment. So it's like you're in this little town and a lot of people are being accused of witchcraft, and it's going to arrest all of your attention. In an era when there were no movies, this is a gripping drama full of rumors, witchcraft, the occult, like it has everything. And so you can imagine this town just being wrapped its attention around what's going to happen next, who's going to be accused next, and who's going to do the accusing. I imagine it's a scary and frightening time. That's also, I think, why we still are intrigued by this time period today. Naturally, Arthur Miller's The Crucible helped a lot with that too, because that is a powerful play that really pulls out the drama of that situation. I absolutely love that play. Anyway, 19 people were hung, and one person was crushed with weights because he wouldn't enter a plea of either guilty or not guilty. So they were kind of torturing him to get him to declare a verdict. The aftermath of all this is noteworthy too, because it's like a fever broke, and you have these people that went on this craze for a year, and a lot of them are in jail, some of them are killed. Then they have to kind of wake up and look around, look at each other, and say, boy, that was something. Some of the authorities insisted that what they did was right, and you have to think of the situation from their perspective. Would you rather say that you were right and that there really were witches and you killed those people justifiably, or that you were wrong and you got a little caught up in the moment and lost your head and whatever else, and now the people are dead and it's your fault? It seems like you're just going to choose to take the easier path and say that you were right the whole time. Anyway, if I haven't made the case clear enough at this point, Shirley Jackson pulls out a lot of fascinating psychological angles in this story. And so I loved it. It's a perfect Halloween read. I'm going to give it 4 stars.